I wasn't poor or anything like that when I was younger, but I had limited income myself being a kid and all. My parents were doing just fine, but they didn't want to spoil their kids completely, so this meant that if there was a game that I really wanted, I had to really beg for it or save up some birthday money. Therefore, if a game was longer, I simply thought it was better and there was no discussion to be had. It didn't matter if a game was stretched out way too long, and it just wasn't fun anymore. I'd sit my ass down and play the entire thing. With so much time on my hands and only a few games at my disposal, this way of thinking just made sense. Now we gotta move to today, where 1, I have a job, 2, I have other responsibilities related to aging, 3, there are other hobbies that I'm now interested in outside of gaming, and 4, just in gaming itself, there are way too many games to play. Now stretch into other media and hobbies. There are too many TV shows to watch, YouTube videos to watch, music albums to listen to, sports games to watch, instruments to practice, workouts to try. There's just so much that I want to do in one day. That's not counting those pesky little things called work and responsibilities. Now I'm finding myself playing shorter games and getting a sense of annoyance, or dare I even say dread, when I take a trip to howlongtobeat.com and see that a game that I just bought will take me 50 plus hours to beat. I'll even buy games that I'm interested in, such as Persona 5, Red Dead 2, and Xenoblade Chronicles, just to see that they take forever to beat. Then I hold off on playing them. There's just something about tackling a game that is telling me you're going to spend the next few months trying to beat me that makes it, well, intimidating. What if I don't like it? Will I slog my way through it or just accept the fact that I'm not going to beat that shit? Sometimes busting right through a short game is such a treat. The original Pikmin is so much fun to run through and grab all 30 ship parts. It only takes me roughly 5 or 6 hours, but it's so addicting running in there and seeing if I can shorten it at all. Banjo-Kazooie is another great game that I can beat in just a couple of sittings. It's satisfying getting all 100 jiggies relatively quickly, then beating Gruntilda's ass. Insaniquarium only takes a few hours to beat, so I love going through all the tanks and bathing in that nostalgia. Luigi's Mansion is another great short game that is so much fun to revisit on a near annual basis. Don't even get me started on Super Mario 64 either. My logic is basically this: why would I spend 80 hours in one great game, while instead I could experience 4 great 20-hour games? That's just efficient, right? With games that I'm interested in coming out every month or so, it sounds like a smart way to do things. That's not to mention my backlog stretches all the way out to the NES era. I'm sure that if one has a Steam account that they impulsively add games to when they go on sale, they get where I'm coming from. In this day and age, video game companies are fighting hard for our time and dollar. Sales are abundant, and don't get me started on how great of a deal some services such as Xbox Game Pass are. This sounds like a decent argument in theory, but in practice, I'm just an idiot. I can't tell you how many hours I've sunk into Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I love doing random scenarios with my brother. Or how about all those damn all-cup tours that I've done in Mario Kart Double Dash? Or all those Digimon that I've cycled through Hazing in the original Digimon world. I can't even tell you how many Super Smash Bros. Melee matches I've played. Call of Duty Black Ops Zombies is another series that I've sunk way too much time into. For me, all these games have stood the test of time and have all held up, even after the insane amount of playing hours that I'm throwing at some of these. I always feel the urge to replay these, while having the audacity to say, I don't have 50 hours for Elden Ring. Are you crazy? These games are comparable to comfort food for me. I know I should get out there and try something new, but I know that I'll have fun raising another monster in Monster Rancher, for example. At least in the games above, these games were made with replayability in mind. These aren't games where I get through the story once and I'm just done playing them forever. Honestly, I think the answer comes to this. How long does the gameplay call for? I would have no problem playing Digimon World 2 for 80 hours if the game wasn't, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Terrible. I only got about 20 hours through Paper Mario and the Origami King, mostly because the battling is just so goddamn not fun. It was a shame because everything else in the game was pretty neat, but the battling just dragged the whole game down. On the flip side, I really enjoyed Dragon Quest XI, but after about 40 hours, I had my fill. The gameplay and the story were fun, but I just lost interest in the game. I'm not sure if the gameplay got stale despite it being pretty fun for a while, or if the funny story was stretched too much, but I just moved on to other things despite it being a good game. I'm not trying to say that a long game is bad. That's really not what I'm trying to get at here. I just think that if a game is longer, there's more room for stuff like fetch quests, pointless backtracking, trailing missions, and other annoying fluff. I've been in a good few long games and enjoyed them. Knights of the Old Republic took me around 40 hours to beat just the story, and I enjoyed nearly every minute of it. I completed the sequel too, and that took me nearly as long. I decided 100% Digimon World Next Order on the PS4, which nearly took me 100 hours. It dragged a point, sure, but I had a good time for most of it. The length that I like to usually stick around if I had to pick is around 20 to 30 hours if it's not trying to hit that replayability that shorter games like Pikmin do, and if it's a full price release. This makes the game feel like it was long enough to justify that expensive $60 price tag, but that length is short enough that hopefully no padding slipped through. If it's an indie game that costs like 20 bucks or something, even just a few hours of solid gameplay is fine. I just 100%ed both Kirby and the Forgotten Land as well as LEGO Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. Kirby took me about 25 hours, while LEGO Star Wars took me over 80. Guess which one I enjoyed more overall? It felt like Kirby in the Forgotten Land knew when to end. Meanwhile, I literally thought that LEGO Star Wars would not have ended. I still enjoyed my time with it, but that simple LEGO gameplay, it gets stretched a bit too thin. Missions are repeated a lot in the Skywalker Saga. I can't tell you how many target shooting Kyber bricks there were, or how many protect the Gonk Droid missions there were, or how many times I saw this damn loading screen having to travel planet to planet. The game was enjoyable overall, but I'm much more likely to give Kirby a second playthrough. I guess I'm just starting to babble now. I guess my point is this. Stop panning your games, damn it. I made this video to justify not playing Persona 5. It looks like a game that I'd be into and all, but I'm just not sure if I want to spend 90 hours on it. Though if somehow Persona 5 is good the whole time, I'll be okay with it. Because again, I really think the answer to the question is this. Does the gameplay call for the playtime? If Persona 5 can deliver that, then hell, it's probably a really good game.